Last time we went through the inyanim bichlolus of the moshel of the melech and the bizbuz eitzeres, and bichlal, what's the word of midas hanetzach. And we finished off with a kasha. B'derech klal is the midas hanetzach, that says the teikif which comes out of midas hanetzach. It's usually explained that it comes out after by ish pashut. Like the Rabbi says in Ikef Chelik Tes, that it's not just that he's not a stira, but he's a klyan. Mamela, dafke in Ikef Meshicha, that's where you see more Mesiras Nefesh, and dafke Anoshim Pshutim, you see by them more of a teikif. Because the pashtus comes from the same place, from the lay Adam, which is higher than Seichel and higher than Enigdar. Now, those are the pashtus. In our Mamer, and it's already from Frier, and it's all the way back to the Middle Rebbe, and it's really in Mamer Murazakin, it says clearly that we're talking over here about Adam Gadol. And it says even more, that dafke by Adam Gadol, the more is a Gadol, the more Midas HaNetzach is in Zgal. Like it says over here that the Talmud Chochem has more Midas HaNetzach, and was mer Gedula he has till a Melech, which is the ultimate Gadol, is the real Midas HaNetzach. What's the taich that by Adam Gadol Midas HaNetzach is Begoli? So the Rebbe is Meisif in our Maimah because that's my Nefesh is Begoli. So the question is like a klotz kasha. Where is Midas HaNetzach more Begoli? By Ish Pashut or by Adam Gadol? The pashtus. That's the first question. Now, it just came out, there's a kuntris of Medayik Ba'amaymer, which just came out with the Komenei, with the Tikduke Tera, I think he calls it, Komenei Biyurim. So he asked this question over there, and he gives a funny answer, that he's mechalik between a cotton madrege and a cotton b'shon. So if it's a cotton b'madrege, so then that's is cotton b'shonim, that's when you'll have netzach v'heid b'gol. So I mean, saying havana, that's obviously a difficult thing. To pasha, like what should be the chiluk? What's the havana over here? But also pashas, it's not true. It says that when is the netzach v'heid b'hez galus, and ikris the Mashiach. The Mashiach is talking about young people. Because the Mashiach means by pashta people which are ketanim b'madrege. So b'kitzur, that's I'm not sure exactly what he meant with that beer, but hadra kushi l'duchte. We have to understand what does it mean. On the one hand, we say that netzach is mizgal dafka by Adam Gadol, and sometimes we say dafka by ish pashut. Another question, more of a general question, is what's the build-up of this Mamer? The Mamer begins in the way it's in Tafshin Yud, it's Perik Yud Aleph. We're coming to bring out the inyan of Shem Tzvokis, which is the Ish Tzova, which is the Aveda Avayit, in the Eifen of Netzach V'Heid, the Teikef, and that's the Bizbuz Eitzeres. So Netzach V'Heid is a Shaykhis Tetz. In order to explain that, suddenly the Rebbe in our Mamer puts in a whole akdama as bichlal shemes have. This is the shittas Ramak, that's the Eris. This is shittas of the Baal Shem Tov, that's the Chais of Klain. This is the Alter Rebbe, which is saying it's the Etzem. I mean, what's the purpose over here of this whole akdama? How's it supposed to help us with our Inyan? It almost seems like it's two separate mamarim. There's one sugi of shemes, a novel enemy Deisov, and then there's the second half of the Mamer, which is this Inyan of Netzach V'Heid. So, but pashtus, what's happening over here is like this. In order to appreciate and properly understand what's the word of tzvaka is we have to understand as bichlal shemes have a shaykhis tetz. And that's the word of the Alter Rebbe. That really all shemes elov v'leil mideis of mentas atzmus. And the chiddush of tzvakis is not that has a shaykhis tetz, but has a shaykhis tetz in a different eifin. More than keil and shaka. And that has to be the structure of our mind. So this is obviously a shtickl arbit. What is the uftu of Netzach over the others in the Yachas Ta'etzim? So in other words, the vart over here is not that Etzim as a Shaychus, that Netzach as a Shaychus Ta'etzim. It has a Shaychus Ta'etzim in a different Eifen than other Shems. It's just that we verstehen. A third point, which needs over here more clarity, is at the end of Siv Zayin, the Rebbe says, an interessante Zach, says that the Melech goes, and he goes with Mesiras Nefesh, Mash L'chayev Min Neged. Why? Because Midas HaNetzach is so deep in the Nefesh, even more than his Chayes. The Lashon is L'mayla Me'er V'Chayes Chay Nafshei Shebo Begil. This is obviously something which needs more beer. Would you mean that I am more than my chayes? My chayes is I. I mean, a person's life is not like a double nesef on him. This is bepashas, so the person will do anything and everything he could to survive. That's the etzem ha'adam is the fact, is being alive, is being. So we're saying over here that the netzach is deeper in me than myself, than I am in me. I mean, what we're saying that the winning the war is more important than me being. It can't be more me than me. What's a pashta touch? So let's lesikum. We brought up 3 points over here. Number one is what's the touch that netzach is mizgala by adam gadol by ish pashut? Which one is it, and how could they both be true? Another question is, what's the hagdama of shemus to tzvakis, which brings out that tzvakis is a more shaychus ta'etzim in a different eifen than the other shemus? And now this third point, what does it mean that I am more found in my netzach than I am in my life? So, in order to reinzulassen in them, let's begin with Bichlal, a bissel besser, or the Sharfar bringen, what's the word of Netzach V'Heid Bichlal? Last time the discussion was that Netzach V'Heid, or specifically we focused on Midas HaNetzach, has all the tchunas of Etzem. That says it's Netzach Miloshen Nitzchius, it's consistent, there's a takef, there's a pshitis in Etzem. Bis Mezetzem geht Mesiras Nefesh, Mash L'chayev Min Neged. So this is all because the Etzem HaNefesh expresses itself dafke in Netzach V'Heid. Now there's something very similar to Netzach V'Heid, which is Kabbalah Seh. And it's often confused. And even in the Lashonis and Chassidus, often these are interchangeable Lashonis. We use the words Kabbalah Seh and Netzach together. But more specifically, Ba'etzim, we're talking about two very different things. And if we'll start from there, properly being mechalek between Netzach V'Heid and Kabbalah Seh, then we'll be able to work our way backwards in Netzach Gufa to be able to be mechalek between the Melech and the Ish Pashut. So, B'kitzur, what we want to do over here is come out with, let's call it 3 madreges. Kabbalah Seh, Netzach from the Ish Pashut, and Netzach from the Melech, or Mele Lefi Zeh, we'll be able to clarify some of our difficulties. So let's first start with Kabbalah Seh. Kabbalah Seh, Zakman, is Bekeach HaEtzem, meaning the fact that a person could just do without it making sense and without having any hergish is a raya that there's a part of the person which is not about seichel u'midas, and it's not about keich segelim. He just is kesher la'el v'chamer l'masa. He just is. And even though bepashtus is a very chitzenistic part of the person, the very fact that such a thing could exist in the person is a raya that the etzem ha'adam is neither seichel nor midas, and this is, so to speak, coming mitzad etzem. Sometimes the sprach is as the etzem is Kan nimtza kan hoya. He's a atzmi. And that's the way you find in Kabbalah Sel. He just is. And that's the Bezeis Yaviyaren ala Kedesh, the Yisod of Aveda is, the Etzem, just the Yisod of Ikra V'Shorsha is, as Ich leg zich avek for an Eivish. And that's the Evet's Pashut. And that's why he's so reliable, and consistent, v'chulu. Aber, the chisaron of Kabbalah Sel is that this person is faloshin. He's an extinguished person. And vazaleton, he's being forced, if it's mitzad yiras ha'enesh, or if it's a different kind of yira, but it's something which is forcing him into a place where he doesn't want to be. Could I say that the nefesh is being expressed in Kabbalah Sel? Punkt verkehrt. The word of Kabbalah Sel is that there's no expression. Ich bin nicht da. And that's the type of slave. Yeah, evet, it just doesn't mean a servant. Servant is a job, is a position. As Eved is a slave. It means that my identity, so to speak, has been robbed from me, and I am kinyan kaspe of the Adon, and I was mafkir myself, or the Lashon is I'm meyuish benafshe. I'm not my own. I am kof aleim harki gigis. Vos mot megeis, and this is what I'm doing. That's Kabbalah Sel. Netzach is a very different tenor. Netzach is not the taiches that the person is faloshin. He's not extinguished. The person is fully present. Punkt verkehrt. The etzem is not the helen. The keiches hagluyim are not here. But what's happening is, I'm coming out with my full takeif. In the lashon of the Rabbi, always the dugma for Netzach is a soldat, a chayil. And that's in our Mamer, the tzova, ish tzova. A chayil and a eved, a soldier and a slave, are not the same. Not just that they're not the same, they're probably the most opposite you could get. A soldier goes with the full takeif, the full pride. He goes with the nigun shel simcha. He's fully turned on. Elamai, it's not with seichel, it's not with midas and chanami. Fakert, it's coming from a deeper place. It's a real takeif. This is a starkheit in nefesh. Al derech zeh, let's just be marchiv, the discussion is in Heid. Heid and Kabbalah Sel are also different. You have in Derech Chaim, and later you have it in Rishon Samachei, in the second Mamer. It describes Baruch the union of Tmimus. Tomim Tia Mavai Lekach. Tomim Tia, Tmimus, is not Seichel Omidus. It's what he calls Yiras Shamayim Tivis. Ernstkeit. This word of Ernstkeit in Yiras Shamayim Tivis is not Kabbalah Sel. Punkt verkehrt. Kabbalah Sel is Befker and Nichele. If you ask the slave, he wants to do fakir. The Yiras Shamayim Tivis wants to do fakir. Just the opposite. He doesn't want to do anything. This is the only thing he wants to do. He doesn't have a reason for it. He can't justify it. He doesn't. So what? But this is who he is. Is a ernste. He's a tmimis diker. He's fully here without seichel amidus. This word of ernstkeit, it's interesting to note. When the Rebbe spoke about Tzivus Hashem, Tavshin Mem Aleph, I think it was Cholomei Tzukah Sicha, then the Rebbe was explaining what's the Yisod, what's the purpose of Tzivus Hashem. So the Rebbe went through a few things. What's the inyan of an army, and how this should be applied, why Yiddish Kinder have to be in Tzivus Hashem. So the second thing the Rebbe said was Kabbalah said. Because that's a t'nai in the structure of an army that you have to follow what the commander says with understanding. But the first thing that the Rebbe said is Ernstkeit. As a soldat is a ernste Zach. Ernstkeit means I'm here. Amol, when it's described Tmimis in Ayin Beis in different places, this halach lefane b'tmimus means loyalty. A slave, Kabbalah Sel, is not loyalty. A slave is, I don't feel anything for that. What can I do? I can't imagine being free. Fakert, when we talk about Eved Pashut, we don't use the word Eved Ne'eman. He's not Ne'eman La'adeinu. He's not loyal. Is gefangen. He's trapped. Masha'en came, the soldier, he has loyalty. Loyalty is not seichel. Loyalty is deeper than seichel. Loyalty shows on a depth in nefesh, which is the takev, the lay adam, which is expressed in Netzach V'Heid. Kumteis, the Netzach V'Heid and Kabbalah Seil are two different things and two opposite things. If we'll use it in a language, in the Yachas Te'etzem, Kabbalah Seil is coming b'keyach ha'etzem. But it's not an expression of etzem. There's no bitui of etzem over here. I can't say that I meet a Kabbalah Seil, so now I see etzem anefesh. I don't see a fakert. I see an idiot. I see a slave. In Netzach V'Heid is punkt fakert. I see a person. I see the power. I see that this person is now turned on. It's not just b'keyach ha'etzem. It's the etzem expressing itself. It's being nizgala in this fight. Maybe besignen acher, there's sometimes the Rabbi spoke, I think it was in a Mamer, I think it says Chaneke Tosh Memvav, it's a Mugdike Mamer. There's the Sheresh of Keach HaMaise in Etzem HaNefesh, the Sheresh of Keach HaDibur. Both of them, we say, come from Etzem HaNefesh. There's a big difference. The Sheresh of Keach HaMaise in Etzem is Etzem Alein. He is Etzem. The kan nimtza kan hoya and doesn't meise and doesn't the truck in a meise. The meise which is the ganze nifrit mi adam and it's dry and dead. Asius. That's the shaykhis of etzem to meise b'pei. Like the lashon is safe meise al machshav tchila. It comes from that. The sheresh of dibur in etzem is not in the atzmius of the etzem, it's fakert, it's in the gili of the etzem, like in the Ranat. That when a person talks, his me'erer, his sherish, the sherish of Keach HaDibur, and what's that? The fact that a person could be bezgalus. U'memeila kil me'erer hakavana, it becomes an extra gili in seichel and a gili in midis. Because the sherish of Keach HaDibur is kilo less high, maybe. It's from a lower place in etzem. It's not from the atzmius of etzem, it's from the giluyim of etzem. Is the fact that etzem is nizgal in eifon of blikvul. It's in the hispashtus. Umemela, when a me'erit keich hadibur is working, it triggers that part of the etzem, so that makes a teisefes, his galus, in a seichel. So it's very different, the two inyan. It's al derech zeh maybe. Al derech the chiluk between Kabbalah Seil and Netzach V'Heid, dibur, and Maisa is going to be between Kabbalah Seil and Netzach V'Heid. Because both of them is, I have a yachas to etzem, but it's a different kind of yachas. One is B'keich etzem, and one is being megala the etzem, or there's a biti, an expression of etzem in this art. Now, lefize, once we will magdir the word of Netzach properly, that was is ein inyan, the expression of etzem, let's come back and deal with some of the issues that we began with. What's the word of this Mamer? The word is that a yid comes from Netzach V'Heid. Sorry, a yid is tzvokis, which comes from Netzach V'Heid, which comes from the etzem. And that's the word of Bizbuza Eitzres. That's the taiches that a yid has in him keiches, which he's not aware of, and he has to be megal in himself the Eitzres Sheyir Shamayim. That's the nukuda that the Maimon wants to bring out. The starkheit from the yid. Now, the emes is that there's other ways of being Mesiachas Ta'etzem. Like we say, Kabbalah Seil as a Shaychas Ta'etzem. And this is what we bavarin over here. Shemus bichlal of a Shaychas Ta'etzem. The very concept name. And that's what the Alter Rebbe says, as when you love is a love after I understand that everything has a Shaychas Ta'etzem in their own way, Now I could appreciate that Netzach as a unique way of dealing of bringing out Etzem, because it brings it out. It expresses Etzem. So after the Akdamah, that's what the Rebbe's Meisiv, the ganze Akdamah from the all Shemus have Etzem, Sheikh's Etzem, to say that the word of Netzach Ve'ed is Megala Etzem. And that's the whole Adgosha of the Rebbe the whole time, is that the Etzem and Nefesh is Begilui. Das will man da is. Now, Lefizeh, maybe we could also deal with this issue that we had. What does it mean that a person is Megala himself, in himself Netzach, which is more important than his life? How could it be that there's something in me which is more important than me? So let's for a second upload in this sugya and deal with a very similar problem. We'll know a son is ready to give his life for his father. How could the father be more negate to the son than the son to himself? The highest thing, the deepest kasha you could say about a father and a son is that the tata is mamish duzum. My father is me. My father is more me than me. How does that make sense, Michal? So, I'm giving over myself to my father more than over to myself. What's going on? So, what's the Havana? Darf man sagen, l'chure bepashtus. Asaze. I don't live with my etzem. My need to exist, my atzmi isn't begil, and shouldn't be. I mean, a healthy person has kechsegloim for a reason. When a person who lives only with his etzem, that's a kranke mensch. The only thing is I. Obviously, there has to be expression. There's meichim, there's midas. That's eris and klyan. My father is me. When something happens to my father, it triggers me. I'm going to rush and run like I'm running for my life to save him. Meanwhile, I'm also endangering my own life. That could be. But that wasn't triggered. That wasn't the sugi. What was triggered over here was my father. And it's irrational. If you're going to make the cheshbon, the taka doesn't make sense. But it wasn't a cheshbon. It's not a touch that there was a gili of etzem and nefesh. Mamela, ich bin tired by sich. Mamela is going to be. What happened is that there's two ways of accessing this etzem. There's my father and there's me. I wasn't the sugi. Mamela kann ich sich nicht einhalten, and it could be I'm doing an narishkeit. It's not a decision. I jump into a dangerous thing in order to save my father, because right now my father's in danger. The result could be I'll be in danger, could be, and then my father will come fakert and he'll save me. What happened over here is that the etzem was triggered. Is al derech zeh darf man sagen da. The way I live my life is chaye nafshe, the way it's in kechse gelu. I don't live in survival mode. I don't live a life, but the etzem the rega is, the discussion is, I have to exist. Nicht as when it comes a sugi of a fight, which is going to bring out my mitzvah netzach, so I'm going to lose control because I touched a place in me. So it's going to bring out the takef of the etzem nefesh, and I'm going to go, and I'm going to even put myself in a dangerous match. Why is this? Because was is the taich netzach? Netzach is gili hanefesh. So let's clarify. If we would be talking about Lamazan Kabbalah Seil, which is just mikeach etzem, this whole thing wouldn't work, because it would just be kan nimtza kan hoya. Mashaykin over here, where we're talking about shleppen, aristzian, bringing out the etzem. So what's going to bring out the etzem more is what's going to be the sugya b'perba on the table. So where's my mitzvah netzach going to be applied? In the place which was made. In other words, it could be Lapayil, because of my mitzvah netzach, I'm going to be so irrational, and I'm going to start doing things against my other own principles, because I'm going to be mafkin everything. Because what happened is my etzot getzeigen, my etzem nefesh, and the takeif came out in this direction. L'cheire, as they come in the line of pshat, unless somebody has a better way of upteichen this in. In Al Kopanim L'Sikum, where we're holding now, is like this. The geder of netzach is gili hanefesh, or biti, expression of nefesh. Mashenkin Kabbalah said. And this is the word of our Mamer to bring out the yachas of tzvokis to Sha'ar Shemus and their yachas to Etzem. And this is going to help understand why a person loses control and he goes against his own life, which is also his Etzem. But because that wasn't the good and that wasn't the sugya, it's going to pull me in this direction, and I'm going to go on Mesiras Nefesh, Mash L'chayev Mineged, to win. That's the word of Netzach. Now, in Netzach Gufe, we have to discuss two madregis. There's the difference between the way this Indian is nizgala by Ish Pashat, and there's the way this thing comes out by a Gadol or by a Melech. So let's go back to him. What's the type that by a Melech he has the Indian of Netzach? This L'chure, Ish Gadol, he's working in Meichen Amitis. Sheikh Mir Meile Geweh Mikol is with pastures. His Meichen and his Midas are higher. Meile, he's fakert. There should be more tikkun. There should be more eris and kalim, and there should not be a room for netzach. Like we were discussing last time, that dafke because of the helen and the pshitis, the fatamkeit of netzach. That's why kommt this as this takeoff, which is going to go driving full force without any agbalas. And by pastors, a normal person who's not a Yish Pashat and is not a Melech, he doesn't have this akshanis. Akshanis is l'mata mitam v'das, which is am k'sheyere for. Who lends sich das? It comes because every Indian, he sees legufe, he sees the mileage shebezeh, he sees the price, and he thinks whether it's worth paying this price to get these results. This whole netzach thing is a ridiculous thing. It comes l'chura miheder aseichel. It wasn't a touch that exists by the Melech. So the Havana is that a Melech is a different kind of person. This is a breite sugi b'fnei atzmi, so it's going to be very hard to limit it to just a few words, but we can't go weiter without. Akopanim zwei Wörter. A regular person doesn't live with his etzem. But there is a part of me which is just me. Where's that going to come out? Lamazagin, if my life is threatened. And at that moment, there's going to be just a pure I. This pure I, which I have, is at that moment going to be, there's no zulas, which is tefes makim. Not just that my Indian is not, I'm not conversing and communicating with the Zulas. The Zulas doesn't exist at this point. The only thing that's happening is going to, me the way I am. Atzmi is the touch is a mechuyev amitzias. I am because I must be. And there's no teichen and I'm not murke from anything, I just am. He is nimtza be'etzem. Now this part of the nefesh exists be'etzem deep in the nefesh. And this is the yesod, and this is what lies behind every time a person, we say some people have confidence, and some people don't have confidence. There's a Mamer in Eter, I think it's in Yisre, Eter. You see that a person which is a atzmi, they say it's a person which is mechuber to his etzem. He describes over there as tachis idea shalei neida. He has the confidence to baal dover. Why is there a person, sometimes you see some people are ready to take risks and other people not? Because there's a pachad, the pashtus. What happens if I'm going to fail? And if I fail, then it's going to be an error on my mitzvahs. Kommt es, ich bin ein schwacher Mensch, it could be I'm stupid, it could be I'm not capable. There's a pachat to do something always because of the teitzois is what's going to be magdir in me. Because we live in a Eifen as the teichen of what I do is what I am. Whatever I manage to produce, whatever I accomplish, das ist wer ich bin. Mashe ein keine etzem nefesh. I'm not what I did. I'm not what I possess. I am. Und Mela habe ich nicht kein pachat to take anything home which is not going to be matzliach. So there's no pachad lovei al dover wie the Lashon is. Well, ich gehe auf dem, die ganzen take it. Why not? What am I scared of? That's someone which is mechuber to his etzem. There's a Lashon of the Rebbe in Padab Shalom Chav Beis. It's a very special Mamer. It was the third Mamer of the Fabrengen. It was a ganze... So the Rebbe said in the Lashon, his bananus be'inyan ha'yechide. The Aveda is to derheren yechide. What is it? To live with yechide. It means that I am not about accomplishing or what I'm massig, was ich verstehe nicht. Erstens be'etzem ich bin ayit. So al derech zeh nefesh ha'adam bichlal. If I exist be'etzem, that's a healthy person who is, he's a atzem. Now, and a normal person, this etzem is something which you could rely on, which you could fall back on. But you don't live only with etzem. Masha'enke, when a person was going on Mesiras Nefesh, Al Kiddush Hashem, at that moment the etzem is in this gala, like in Kippur, is Shedila Yechide. Emo the etzem is in this gala, which is the I, and that's coming roaring out with the fullest pashtus. Then that overtakes everything. Is the seichel and the midas, the whole person becomes a different person. He becomes like a shikr. It's an outside in sich. There's no, everything is mechuber to this atzmistic bligvul place where I just am. In Kuntas Aveda Perekei describes that somebody which Lomzagni went on Kiddush Hashem and survived. For some reason he didn't get killed. It's an andere Mensch. Because at that, once Yechida was Nizgalet, the ganze Mensch hat sich gegeben. He's mechuber to himself. And this is a melech. A melech is a person that, wie es steht, he has a reimamus atzmus. Normally a merumim is a merumim on you, because there's another person. A melech is someone which is mishtasher ba'atzmusih. I have a tainug in myself. Normal person, you have a tainug from something sweet, from a gishmak in nigen, from a vart. You have a tainug which is murkiv in something. And melech could be, what is it? It's, I'm mechuber to myself, I just am. Mele, he's bligvul powerful. He's never scared to do anything. He's never scared lovei al dover. It's not just that. There can't be anything which is a stira to him. Because which cheshbon could there be? Ich bin voran, kan nimtza kan hoye. So the melech is a different quality of a person. And left mit that. Mele melech played it together. It's not just a din that a melech is allowed to do what he wants. How could there be anything in the way? Because it's not about me. It's not about a certain prat in me. It's I. Which cheshbon can das abschlagen? It's like a cheshbon. It just is. The etzem kommt da raus. Alle in Yonim and Etzem, Kelo the Meichen and the Midas, that's what we mean really, Shichim and Mailik Vebmer Kolom. That's what the Rebbe is teaching over in the Mamer. As his Midas are higher than a regular person's Seichel. Why? Because everything is living from a different place. It's coming from the Atzimis to God. Now, one nafkemine which is going to be is that there can't be anything which is a stira to me. And anything which is a stira to me, even if it's the smallest thing, can't exist. So, usually, what do I fight? I fight things which are bothering me. What bothers me? Certain things. Now, so there's two paratim. First of all, not everything bothers me. Zweitens, what bothers me is relative to the Teichen Adavar. There's a difference between someone who gives me a frask, or somebody said the Lashon Hara about me, someone in the K'tzei Ayam, or somebody is there's different levels. Masha'enkin by a melech, because it's melachatchila, not geboit from any Teichen, it's impossible there should be anything which is not totally me, It's impossible there should be any difference between how much it's not me. Because it's not murkif from any pratim. It just is. This vart of melech is a different eifon of netzach. The netzach of the ish pashut, what is it? Let's be magnet. It's a biti of the etzem. In other words, he's a normal person. The ish pashut faket. It says in Kiseitze Samachei. It's a hanocha of the Mamer from the Rebbe Rashab. It's a hanocha. So I don't know how much you could be medayik, but the teichen is over there. He says, ish pashut. He doesn't have netzach in everything because he's bichlal is a shaful. He's a shaful b'nei atzmei. A pashut mensch is going to go fight for everything. He deserves everything. He owns everything. Everybody owes him everything. No. There's going to be certain things that, yeah. And like you see, a pashut mensch, he doesn't think he owns the world. But just fight with him about the one thing that's negeh, then he's an action. That's the akshonis, which is the mata mitam vadas, a tekef, a fatantkeit, but it's not everything. So I can't say over there that the etzem nefesh is begil. What I'm saying is that there's an expression of etzem. When you touch this fatamtkeit, this akshonis shabay, then it's really what we would say etzem nefesh is now coming out. You've triggered etzem. Masha'en came by a godel, or the real godel, which is the melech. This is nicht as etzem nefesh now has been triggered. Is melachatchila left mit etzem. He's a atzmi. A melech is a atzmi. Nothing could not be me. So the midas hanetzach over there is coming from gili etzem hamelech, the gili etzem hanefesh. Mele retmen a andere sort of. So if we're gonna back to our question, where is midas hanetzach nizgala by ish pashat by a melech? It depends what we're talking about. So if we'll summarize, the pashtus says do kabbalah sale is only bekeach etzem. Regular netzach, maybe I would say it's a biti of etzem. Netzach by a melech is gili etzem. And this is the word of our Mamer, was the Rebbe will da bringen. What's the nekude of the keches atzmi, or the bizbuz ha'etzris that the melech is giving the yid, giving this chayil to fight? It's not just that he's going to have a certain takeif when he gets certain things. Fakir. It's the melech is giving himself, being mevazvus, his eitzris, and he's going to be found in this chayil, this soldier, and that's the word of tzvakis. Yeah. So I see we don't have too long left, so let's just move on to the next shlaf. So as in Poshet Mesakim Zaymas is a dogeret, we began with a few questions, and we dealt with all of them. Which the sikum, the vart is that there is stam trukina kabbalah sale, which is just bekeich etzem. There is that there's a tekef, which is an expression of etzem, and then there is that the etzem nefesh is begili, and that's the vart of bizbuz ha'etzris by the melech. Now, just let's finish with one vart b'negei bizbuz ha'etzris, just so we should understand. In the Mamerim, sometimes it's not clear what's the eitzer and what's being is bazbez, what's retzich? So the pashtus is the way it's in the original in Teres Chaim, and this is the way the Friedrich Rebbe, but the Rebbe's Chasana, Tofresh Peites, the sprach was that there's a eitzer shel yiras shamayim, meaning that there's a tnuah of yira, which a person is not shaykh to. A regular person is shaykh to yira tatoeh, but is nicht shaykh to yira iloi. And the melech could give that. Only a melech could give a person Yiras Harimus. The Rabbi once spoke, Tashon Chavtes, was maybe it was Yud Kislev or Yudalit Kislev, one of those Amr Beshi Chavtes. The Rabbi said that it's even higher than Yiras Harimus. We're talking about a Yira Mitzad Etzem HaNefesh. Yiras Harimus Mitzad HaChachma, that's not Chechem. Okay, I'll go upon him. Sometimes it's Yiras Harimus, sometimes it's even higher. What's the word? So the emes is this belongs in next year's Bosi Lgani and weiter. It's all in touching Yud. That there's Lamayla din Ketz or Lamata din Tachlis, which in one word means that by the Eibishter there's a tnu of Gilu and there's a tnu of Helen. Emek Tachas is Gilu and there's a tnu of Helen which is Emek Re. This Inyan HaHelem, was is da bei der Eibishter, is the Kavyochel, the Inyan HaYir. Yir is Bechlal a Tnu of Kivitz, the Inyan of Helem. And that's the title, there's a Eitzer of Yiras Shamayim, there's a Eitzer of Yira, which the Eibishter has. Let's maybe be manchish it a little bit more. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not sure if what we're saying now is meduyik, but that's a bit of a mashmor in Teres Chaim, is as it. Let's take a mashal. When you have a Rav and a Talmud, so the Talmud has a certain bittul for the Rav. But the Rav wants that the Talmud should be mobile. How does the Rav make the Talmud mobile? So when the Rav screams, or the Rav is Megala himself. So now the Talmud has more bittul, more yira for the Rav. Aber lass mich fragen verkehrt. Was the Rav now mashpil himself or meremim himself? The very fact that the Rav had to scream, or the fact that the Rav is giving yira, das ist for him hashpol. For him, that is a yiride. Because the etzem inyan a-yira is like we were talking about the covet. The inyan of covet avaya haster dover. Real inyan a-yira is that he's so far removed, that's the mocker of yira. Where he was not megal even that in himself. So when the Eibishter gives us the yira, it's a bizbuz of his eitzer. It's kilo the Eibishter is being mashpil himself, that there's this part of himself, which is legamre merumim, emekrem, but the Eibishter is spending that, splurging, saying, nemdos, in order to help you have yiras teremos. Giving a yid the inyan ayira by being megala himself. Being megala the sheresh ayira in the Eibishter. Und das ist der Eitzer, sheyira shamayim, was a yid kriegt. Yeah. Now, this is b'derech klal. That was the regular sprach, and this is, if you look in all the Mamorim, tzitkas perzene from the Marash v'chulu, is being megalagir. In Deir Shvi, the Rebbe was mechadish a whole new mahalach in Bizbuz Eitzros. I think the first place is touching Yudalit, the Omer Beishia, when the Rebbe has the Mamer for Yudalit Kislev. The Rebbe said, as what the Eitzr is Achsidus. The Eitzris are, and I think in Tovshin Yud already, the Rebbe said it, Bekitzer. These are the inyanim that the Friedrich Rebbe was Megal. So that's Sipurim, says that the inyanim in Chassidus, there's the different Messiahs, Rebbe mit Rebbe. That says the Rebbe was Megal Teira, which is Pnimius Teira, which is supposed to be a secret. And it was Megal, this inyan that was Ibe gegeben Tzayid to be able to win the war. And from then, very often, and in our Mamer Friday night, the Motzei Shabbos not, but Friday night the Rebbe said there again this word. As was is the Indian from Bizbuz Eitzeres, as the Rebbe is Megal Chassidus Tzachsid. It's the Keich of Pnimis HaTeir, which is be'etzem this same word. What the Taich has sod? A sod, a secret, means not that you don't know about it. Yeah, if you don't know my age, it's not pshat that that's a secret. It happened to me that you don't know. A secret is the taich that you're not supposed to know. It's personal. When you say Sedah Chelik of Teira that's said, it doesn't mean that we don't know it. There's many Masechtas which are together say this Teira for me. So that's the taich that says Seid. Seid is the taich is not that nobody knows it. You're not supposed to. When somebody says a secret, he says it in a whisper. Why? Because you're not supposed to know this. I'm telling you something of personal nature. It could be everybody knows the secret. It's still bad some a secret. There's a part of the Eibishter which is not supposed to be. This is Shashur Lefonov. This is Pnimis HaTeir. It's not supposed to be in the world. Once he's megalit, it's al derech. We're saying last time the Middle Rebbe says, Emol, the Melech wastes his money. He takes the Evan Shebekeser HaMelech and grinds it, or he takes this Eitzer and he spends it to give food or to support the soldiers. It's wasted, and there's no way back. There's no way back. hat der Eibishter genommen Chassidus, which is not supposed to be in his Gala, because a Yid is as a Tayer, he's going to spend the Torah, and it's going to be, it's a secret. And there's no way, like, okay, now let's come back together again. Let's take Chassidus and put the pieces back together again. Take the average of Begezer HaMelech and put it back. No. Ein Molat is Megala gewesen, it is vergangen, it's lost. Kilo, it's spent on a Yid. The Eibishter spent himself to be Megala Chassidus to a Yid. And that's the Bizbuz HaEitzres, the wasting of the Eitzres. Now, in the Rebbe's Sprach, sometimes the Rebbe, in the Moshel, sometimes, like in our Mamer, the Rebbe is the Sarat Sova, through the Eibishter is Megala Chassidus through the Rebbe, and there's the Rish Pkidei Achayil, which is going to be giving it to the Anshe Achayil, like his Madgish, that the Matorah is Dafka the Anshe Achayil, they're the ones who are going to eat, they should win the war. Sometimes the Moshel is, as the Rebbe is the Melech, sometimes the Rebbe touched us, the Moshel, Nocheche, not the Rebbe is the Rish Pkidei Achayil. The Melech, that's the Rebbe. So the Rebbe has in Yonim, which be'etzem should be of personal nature, whatever that means. That says in Yonim, which is Eimekarein, in Yonim of Helen, and it is thus Megalo Negitza Chibur. In order that as a Chosid, or the Chosidul Ish Poshet, Anshe Chayil should be Matzliach in his Iskafje in sein Prat. There's in Tafshin Yud, everyone knows, Nissen Tafshin Yud, I think it's based Nissen. The Rebbe spoke as Ad Kedei Kach, that the Rebbe is the Melech as Mashal Chayev Mineged. He gets himself involved in the war, bis Mashal Chayev, and the Rebbe Tzich Mamish Tzovent, we're talking about even Nish Yud Shvat wouldn't have to happen. The Rebbe said if soldiers would do their job, then the Melech doesn't have to get involved. When soldiers don't do the job, is a Mashal Chayev Mineged, and that's why Yud Shvat happened. And there was another time, maybe there was a few times the Rebbe said this word, every time with very disruptious. As Mash L'chaim Mineged is the type, as Yud Shvat happened because we didn't do the job. We didn't do the work. Is Al Kolponim, Lomandar Endikim with one knetch. See, we're running out of time. So one last knetch, a Chiddush in this Mamer in the Inyan of Bizbuz HaEitzres. Usually the Inyan of Bizbuz HaEitzres is, wie man sagt, that Bizbuz HaEitzres is as the Eibishter is Megala, his Eitzer of Yerushalayim, or like in the Rebbe Sprach is Megala Pnimius Ateris, Megala Chassidus, so it's Geben Fayid. Over here, Sai Friday night, and Motzei Shabbos was in a bit of a different signal, and Friday night's even sharper. Bizbuz HaEitzres is, as a Yid has to be Mevater on his own Eitzeres, meaning be Mevater on his Gashmis. Meaning not the Eitzer is the Yerushalayim. The Eitzer is the things that are disturbing, the Gashmis, the Anachas HaElam, the Zayin Yonim, and das darf mevazve sein and throw it aside, and that makes a Bizbuz HaEitzeres Lamayla, the Eibishter is Megala, his Eitzer El. In Motzei Shabbos, the Rebbe Madriz, and you have to be mevazve, even in Yonim from the Nefesh Lekis. Ich will say, gar nicht, not dir allein. Even any in Yonim, Taivis, was the Dom to the Nefesh Lekis, he has to be mevater. Is Al Kolponim, so the Rebbe is saying over a new word, that if a person is mevater of Anachas HaElam, das is Geirem, this is Kilo HaKeli, as to Megala sein, the Eitzer El, and the Eitzer Shir Shamayim, or the Pnimius Ateire, Chassidus, was the Rebbe is Megala found. Okay.
If a Melech is Taka, Etzem, and there's nothing else in his world, and there's no Cheshbenis, so why does other things bother him? If he's so comfortable with himself, so why? How could something else get in his way?
Oh, very, very good. It's a good question. It's L'chura, the word has to be that a real Mechuyev HaMetzias is not only that the Etzem exists, but that nothing else could exist. It says that I'm the only thing. And if something exists outside of me, that's an error on me being a Mechuyev HaMetzias. In the Lashon HaRambam, he says that Kulam tzrichim lei, and he says, if you're going to say that there's a matziv that not kulam tzrichim lei, then that's ma'arer on the fact that hu ein tzarech le'echad meh. Let's say I don't need you, but you don't need me. Why is it that everything has to? Why? Because a real mechuyev HaMetzias is the taich that it's impossible that there should be any place where I don't exist. If you have a minute, we can get involved in the chikirish of it. Basically, the word is azeh. Mechuyev HaMetzias means that it's impossible, there's no madrego, there's no place where I'm not mechuyev. As soon as you're going to say that there's a art of the Indian where mitzad that I don't have to exist, so I'm afshar. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Right? So mechuyev HaMetzias has to be as there's no, and once I'm afshari, I have to have a sibah. Why do I exist there and not there? So it's because of a sibah. So I'm a murkib, so it's not for real. Mechuyev HaMetzias means that it's a kenner a plot where I don't have to be. Now. That doesn't mean I have to be everywhere. But it can't be a place which is not machriach that I have to be. If there's something which doesn't need me, that means that there's a certain place which says, over here we don't need you. Kum Teresa says, there are art where I'm not mechuyev, where I don't have to be. Kum Teresa, even where I am, I'm not mechuyev. Because the only reason I'm here is because of a sibah. Why am I not there? Why? No, there's a dargo, there's an Indian, there's an option of me not being needed. If I'm not needed, is a raya that I don't have to be. Existence could exist without. That's the pashta havana in the Rambam. The far muzman sagen is kulam tzrichim lei. If I'm mechuyev mitzvahs, it has to be that everything is dependent on. That's okay. This is.
Wouldn't that also mean that even if there's no menagid, I would have to conquer every country, even without a menagid? I just have to be everywhere?
Yeah, so Be'etzem the Melech, in his mind, is it's a real Melech is that there's no menagid. And a real Melech is a Melech ha'elo. You're right. Technically, there's frustrated Melech. But this is who I am, and it's not working out. That there's somebody else besides for me. Okay, so he's not being matzliach to be a melech because and Zetzman Nefesh is like screaming what's going on. So the Meshugah.